A few videos ago, I ranked every single Big 12 football stadium from worst to best. A lot of people requested that I do other conferences. And, well, that's what I'm going to do. And one of them that was requested that I do, the Big 10. Let's get in the video. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Drew, better known as RockChalk01, and in this video, I'm going to be ranking every single Big 10 football stadium from worst to best. And it's all based on my opinion. Yeah, so as I said earlier, the success of my Big 12 football stadiums ranking video was a big factor in why I'm doing this, but a lot of people requested that I do other conferences, and the one that had the most requests was the Big 10. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting. So before I get started, this list will contain the 14 existing Big 10 members and also include USC and UCLA, who are expected to join next fall, which is the 2023-2024 academic school year. Now, I know this is going to get a little bit of flack because how can you rank football stadiums in this conference without catching flack from everybody? So it is opinion based, and I want to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comments down below. But without further ado, here goes nothing.
Number 16, Ryan Field, Northwestern. I just don't know what to say about this stadium. It has a really underwhelming structural design, and it really needs a renovation because it hasn't had one since 1996, and it's showing its age. Also, there's almost no atmosphere unless the football team is good. But with that being said, the stadium opened its doors in 1926 and will begin its 96th season hosting the Wildcats. Its current capacity sits at 47,130, and it saw its largest crowd back in 1962 against Notre Dame when it had 55,752 enter its gates. Number 15, SHI Stadium-Rutgers. A fairly new stadium with very few renovations, however it did get expanded in 2009. Its interesting design has the press box below the upper deck seating area, which is very interesting. However, the downside is that its atmosphere varies from season to season depending on how well Rutgers does in football. But with that being said, the stadium opened its doors in 1994 and will begin its 28th season hosting the Scarlet Knights. It has a current capacity of 52,454, and it had its largest crowd back in 2014 against Penn State when it saw 53,774 enter its gates. Number 14, Memorial Stadium, Indiana. There's a few Memorial Stadiums in the Big Ten, and I think Indiana's is the worst. It is an old-timey stadium with a few modern renovations, most notably in 2003 and 2016. However, the downside is its atmosphere, or lack thereof, because besides the 2020 season, the stadium fills up about 79% of the time at best. The stadium opened its doors in 1960 and will begin its 62nd season hosting the Hoosiers. It has a current capacity of 52,626, and its largest crowd was back in 1969 versus Purdue when it had 56,223 enter the doors. Number 13, Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium, Maryland. I will say the stadium has seen a bit of upgrades lately, as it's been renovated 4 times, most recently in 2021. However, the downside is the stadium has no atmosphere since Maryland joined the Big Ten in 2014. Nonetheless, the stadium opened its doors in 1950 and will begin its 72nd consecutive season hosting the Terrapins. It has a current capacity of 51,802, and its largest crowd was back in 1975 versus Penn State when the stadium saw 58,973 enter the gates. Number 12, Memorial Stadium, Illinois. The second Memorial Stadium out of the Big Ten is a little bit better than Indiana's. It has been renovated a few times, most recently in 2013, and a huge planned renovation this next coming season, which is really good. However, the atmosphere varies from season to season depending on how well Illinois does in football. But with that out of the way, the stadium opened its doors in 1923 and will begin its 99th season hosting the Illini. It has a current capacity of 60,670. and its largest crowd was back in 1984 versus Missouri, when a whopping 78,297 fans entered the gates. Number 11, Ross-Ade Stadium-Purdue. It's not a bad-looking stadium because it had a huge renovation back in 2002, but the atmosphere is on the rise due to the football team's recent success, which is a bonus. The only nitpicking here is that they really need to close the horseshoe, especially in the south end zone. With the criticism out of the way, the stadium opened its doors in 1924 and will begin its 98th season hosting the Boilermakers. It has a current capacity of 57,236, and it saw its largest crowd back in 1980 versus Indiana when they saw 71,629 pack Ross-Ade Stadium. Number 10, Huntington Bank Stadium, Minnesota. The newest stadium in the Big Ten just got a recent name change, as it was originally called TCF Bank Stadium. It also has a really good atmosphere due to the team's recent success. But the only downside is once it gets into November and December, it is freezing there and it really could use a dome. With all that said, the stadium opened its doors in 2009 and will begin its 13th season hosting the Golden Gophers. It has a current capacity of 50,805, and its largest crowd was against TCU in 2015 when the stadium had 54,147 fans enter the stadium. Number 9, Rose Bowl Stadium, UCLA. This is one of America's most iconic stadiums, a historical landmark to say the best. But once UCLA moved into the building in 1982, there has been some big downsides. The first one is that they rarely sell out games there. And second, they have now started to block off seating, which is very bad. But with that said, the stadium opened up in 1924 and will begin its 40th season hosting the Bruins. It has a current capacity of 92,542. And its largest crowd was for the 1973 Rose Bowl versus USC and Ohio State, when the stadium had 106,869 enter the gates. Number 8, Spartan Stadium, Michigan State. I gotta be honest here, this is a fabulous looking stadium, especially for its age. It also has been expanded 5 times, most recently in 2005, and it was renovated twice, most recently in 2013. Also, it has an incredible atmosphere. The stadium opened up in 1923 and will begin its 99th season hosting the Spartans. It has a current capacity of 75,005, and its largest crowd was against Notre Dame in 1990 when the stadium had 80,401 packed Spartan Stadium. Number 7, Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, USC. An iconic stadium, a National Historic Landmark, and it hosted the Summer Olympics twice and will host a third in 2028. The stadium also probably holds the record with the most renovations at 11. However, for USC football, it's been a little bit of a downfall as they started tarping off seating for those games. With that said, the stadium opened up in 1923 and will begin its 99th season hosting the Trojans. It has a current capacity of 77,500, and its largest crowd was in 1947 against Notre Dame when there was 104,953 that entered the Coliseum. Number 6, Kinnick Stadium-Iowa. The stadium looks brand spanking new, but it's actually really stinking old. It's been expanded 3 times, most recently in 1990, and renovated 4 times, most recently in 2019. It also has an incredible atmosphere with college football's newest traditions, with the crowd waving towards the Children's Hospital. With that said, the stadium opened up in 1929 and will begin its 93rd season hosting the Hawkeyes. It has a current capacity of 69,250, and its largest crowd was 70,585 that has been reached multiple times, most recently versus Michigan in 2016. Number 5, Beaver Stadium, Penn State. One of the largest stadiums in all of college football and in the world, it is also one of 3 stadiums in the Big Ten to crack over the 100,000 fan mark in terms of capacity. It also has been expanded 9 times, most recently in 2011, and renovated 5 times, last time in 2014. Also, the atmosphere is great, especially for the whiteout game. The stadium opened in 1960 and will begin its 62nd season hosting the Nittany Lions. It has a current capacity of 106,572, and its largest crowd was against Ohio State back in 2018 when the stadium had 110,889 enter the gates. Number 4, Memorial Stadium, Nebraska. What can I say? This stadium's incredible. The stadium was expanded 7 times and had a huge renovation back in 2006, but that means nothing compared to the atmosphere. The stadium holds the record for the most consecutive sellouts in a row, which is 382 and counting, that began in 1962. The Sea of Red opened its doors in 1923 and will begin its 99th season hosting the Cornhuskers. It has a current capacity of 85,458, and its largest crowd was against Miami back in 2014 when Memorial Stadium had 91,585 enter the gates. Number 3, Michigan Stadium, Michigan. One of college football's greatest atmospheres is the largest stadium in all of college football and the third largest in the world. It has been expanded 7 times and had a huge renovation in 2010. The Big House, as it's well known, opened in 1927 and will begin its 95th season hosting the Wolverines. It has a current capacity of 107,601, and its largest crowd was against Notre Dame in 2013 for a then NCAA attendance record 115,109. Number 2, Camp Randall Stadium, Wisconsin. This is in fact the oldest stadium in the Big Ten. It has been expanded 7 times and had a huge renovation back in 2004. Also, it has one of college football's best atmospheres, which includes the famous jump around at the beginning of the 4th quarter. With that said, the stadium opened up in 1917 and will begin its 105th season hosting the Badgers. It has a current capacity of 80,321. And its largest crowd was against Iowa back in 2005 when Camp Randall Stadium held 83,184 fans. Number 1, Ohio Stadium, Ohio State. In my mind and a lot of other people's minds, this is the best stadium in the Big Ten. This stadium has been expanded 4 times and renovated twice in 2000 and 2001. However, this upcoming season, the Ohio Stadium is going to get some new turf. But with that said, in my mind, this is the best atmosphere in all of college football. The Shoe opened in 1922 and will begin its centennial season hosting the Buckeyes. It has a current capacity of 102,780, and its largest crowd was against Michigan in 2016 when the stadium had 110,045 fans enter the gates.
And that's going to do it for me ranking every single Big Ten football stadium from worst to best. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Also leave a like, share, and subscribe, and push that notification bell. Tell your friends about these videos. And I should see you again when the next one comes out. But until then, have a good day. Never ever bring anxiety dancers to the field house, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.